ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਗਿਆਨ ਧਿਆਨ ਕਿਛ ਕਰਮ ਨਾ ਜਾਣਾ ਸਾ ਨ ਜਾਣਾ ਤੇਰੀ ਸਭ ਤੇ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਨਾਨਕ ਜਿਨ ਕਲ ਰਾਖੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਡੰਡੋਤ ਬੰਧਨ ਅਨਕ ਬਾਰ ਸਰਬ ਕਲਾ ਸਮਰੱਥ ਡੋਲਨ ਤੇ ਰਾਖੋ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਤੇ ਕਰ ਹੱਥ ਕਹਾਂ ਬੁੱਧ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਤੁਝ ਹਮਾਰੀ ਬਰਨ ਸਕੈ ਮਹਿਮਾ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਰੀ ਹਮ ਨਾ ਸਕਤ ਕਰ ਸਿਫਤ ਤੁਮਾਰੀ ਆਪ ਲਿਹੋ ਤੁਮ ਕਥਾ ਸੁਧਾਰੀ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਧਰਮ ਖੰਡ ਕਾ ਇਹੋ ਧਰਮ ਗਿਆਨ ਖੰਡ ਕਾ ਆਖੋ ਕਰਮ ਕੇਤੇ ਪਵਨ ਪਾਣੀ ਵੈ ਸੰਤਰ ਕੇਤੇ ਕਾਨ ਮਹੇਸ਼ ਕੇਤੇ ਪਰਮੇ ਕਾੜਤ ਘੜੀ ਹੈ ਰੂਪ ਰੰਗ ਕੇ ਵੇਸ ਕੇਤਿਆ ਕਰਮ ਭੂਮੀ ਮੇਰ ਕੇਤੇ ਕੇਤੇ ਤੂ ਉਪਦੇਸ ਕੇਤੇ ਇੰਦ ਚੰਦ ਸੂਰ ਕੇਤੇ kete mandal des, kete siddh buddh nath kete, kete devi ves, kete dev danav mun kete, kete rutan samund, ketiya khani, ketiya bani, kete paat narind, ketiya surti sevak kete, ਨਾਨਕ ਅੰਤ ਨਾ ਅੰਤ ਧਰਮ ਖੰਡ ਕਾ ਇਹੋ ਧਰਮ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਰਾਜਾਨ ਰਾਜ ਭਾਨਾਨ ਭਾਨ ਦੇਵਾਨ ਦੇਵ ਉਪਮਾ ਮਹਾਨ ਪਤਿਤ ਪਾਵਨ ਭਗਤ ਵਚਲ ਜੋਤ ਸਰੂਪ ਜੋਤ ਰੂਪ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਦੇ ਖਜ਼ਾਨੇ ਚੌਰ ਛਤਰ ਤੱਕ ਦੇ ਮਾਲਿਕ ਧੰਨ 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 ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ very lucky, very blessed to be in the Jadan Sharan of Dhan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj again this week to continue learning about this Amritmay Bani that Dhan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji Maharaj has blessed us with of Sri Japji Sahib. That this Bani of Sri Japji Sahib is the first Bani that is found within Dhan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj's Bani. It is the first Bani that is read at that Bhatta when Khandidi Bahul is being prepared at that Amrit Sanchar. That when the Panj Pyare bless us with that to that discipline of reading 7 Bani and the Sat Bani as a minimum in the day, the first Bani that is given to us is Sri Japji Sahib. Where we have been learning that how it is through listening, believing and implementing these teachings that Guru Sahib is blessing us with, we are able to obtain that Brahma Gyan, that divine knowledge of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji, the true knowledge of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. That through implementing these teachings that Guru Sahib is blessing us with each week, we are able to break free from the 84 lakh June, the 8.4 million life forms that we are entangled within, through this Pavitra Bani of Sri Japji Sahib. That was ucharaned by Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji Maharaj, but not in the order that we find it in today. That this responsibility, that seva was actually given to Sri Guru Angad Dev Sahib Ji Maharaj, when they were known as Bhai Lehna Ji. And of course they knew which order they was meant to go in, because they were one with Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. And the order that we find Sri Japji Sahib in today, the order that we read it in today, it was ordered by Sri Guru Angad Dev Sahib Ji Maharaj. That some of us might question that what is the benefit of coming each week and listening to this Katha. What Guru Sahib says in their own Bani, Sunhar Katha Utari Mail, that by listening to Katha, we are able to wash away all of that pollution, all of our previous sins that we have accumulated through our previous janams, through our previous lives. That is the benefit of listening to Katha. That what happens to those that listen to Katha? Mahapanita Pe Sukha Sel. That they become Mahapanita, they become the purest of the pure, and they obtain that sukh within their lives, that peacefulness, that happiness within their lives, simply by listening to Katha. Vade Bhag Paya Sadhasang. That is only for our good fortunes have we been able to come and find the Sadh Sangat. Come and join in with the Sadh Sangat and listen to this Katha, where we have seen how the Siddhs have been asking Guru Sahib questions, where they have been trying to get Guru Sahib to convert, where they have been trying to wow Guru Sahib with their ways. That Dhan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji Maharaj has shown the Siddhs and shown us that how the pathway of the Siddhs that they follow, that is not how to become one with Vaheguru Ji. That is a false path, because it indulges within the Panch Jora of Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, of lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego. That is a materialistic path, that of the Siddhs. And upon hearing this, the Siddhs asked that if this is not how to become one with Vaheguru Ji, then what are those steps? What are those steps that we must take? And over the few previous weeks, Guru Sahib has been describing the Sat Bhumika, the 7 stages of becoming one with Vaheguru Ji. That Guru Sahib has described Shubh Ichha, of having that good thought within our mind, that we want to repeat the name of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji, that we want hundreds and thousands of tongues to be able to repeat that name of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. That's the thought that should be in our mind. Then we have Sat Vicharana, good contemplation, realizing how we are nothing within this world, that all of that power is Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji's. And last week, Guru Sahib taught us about Tanu Mansa, where we start to lose 3 out of the 5 jor. Our Kaam, Krodh and Lobh. Our lust, our anger and our greed start to decrease at that stage of Tanu Mansa. And Guru Sahib also started to describe the different khandas, the different realms, starting with Dharam Khand last week. How Dharam Khand is that realm of the Satsangi. Dharam Khand is about doing Nishkam actions, and Tanu Mansa is about the Satsangi. That the actions that we commit within this world, those that have reached Dharam Khand, they do not have any desires when they do actions within this world. That when they read Gurbani, when they do seva within our Guru Kars, they are not doing it for a reward. They are simply doing it out of love for Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. That is the stage of the Satsangi, is that of Tanu Mansa. And this week Guru Sahib is going to be continuing to bless the Siddhs and bless us with the 4th stage, the Jyoti Bhumika, that of Satu Apat. That this stage is seen to be about Gyan, obtaining knowledge. That we obtain this knowledge and we are no longer asleep within this world. We are awake, we are aware within this world. That through this knowledge, we are not asleep in the sense that we no longer start to follow society blindly, because we realize that this world is false. That this stage of Satu Apat is that of the true sevak of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. Those that have given their tan and manatan, those that have given everything to Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji, that true sevak of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. This is that stage of Satu Apat. And the Siddhs, upon hearing all of this, having heard about Dharam Khand last week in the previous body, they now ask Guru Sahib that why don't you tell us about the next stage? Why don't you tell us about Gyan Khand? And within this body, Guru Sahib is going to give us those teachings about Gyan Khand and give us the teachings of Satu Apat about the true sevak of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. So let's all focus our minds and let's join our minds to the Charan Sharan of Tan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji Maharaj.
Dharma Khand ka eho dharma.
So Tan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji Maharaj is telling the Siddhs and telling us that in the previous body we have described Dharma Khand, that stage where it is about Nishkam actions. That way it is Nishkam actions, Nishkam Karam means without any desires. That the actions that we do within this world have no desires, but we have no desires when we do them. That we are simply doing it out of love, out of happiness for Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. That sometimes we try and make a trade with Guru Sahib, that I have done this much seva, I have read this much Gurbani, that you have to now bless me with A, B and C. But Guru Sahib is saying that those that have reached Dharma Khand, those that have reached that stage of Tanu Mansa, they are simply doing those actions out of love for Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. And upon hearing this, the Siddhs are asking Guru Sahib, we have heard about Dharma Khand, we understand those teachings now. Please tell us about that next stage that is known to be Gyan Khand Hanji.
Gyan Khand ka akho karma.
So we have said that this stage of Gyan Khand is about those that have reached Satu Apat. And if we look at this word, Sat meaning the truth, Apat meaning to receive the truth, understand the truth. And the truth being that this world is false. That we become awake, we become aware to the fact that this world is false. And this stage of Satu Apat is describing the true sevak of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. The last week in the stage of Tanu Mansa, we described it to be the Satsangi, that person that comes and receives those blessings, that does those Nishkam actions within the Sadhasangat. That this week Guru Sahib is describing this true sevak of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. Those that have given everything to Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. The true sevadar, the true servant of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. That is the stage of Satu Apat. Because although they commit actions within this world, they are no longer attached to those actions at all. That sometimes we might think of a goddessic that we see to be very spiritual, and we see them commit an action that is normal to us, and we think, hang on a minute, that this person is just like us, that we thought they were very spiritual, but they're committing actions just like we do. But Sasangaji, those goddessics that have reached this stage of Sattvapad, they are no longer attached to these karams, because they have no attachment in this world, because they have realized that this world is false. And in order to try and understand this stage of Sattvapad, we can look into the times of Baba Gurbakh Singh Ji, who was the great grandson of Baba Buddha Sahib Ji, who would have the responsibility to carry out that ceremony of passing on the Gurta Gadi, the Guruship, and this remained in their family lineage. And Baba Gurbakh Singh Ji was known to be a one with Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji, that they too had no attachment to this world, that they were not attached to the actions that they commit within this world, despite what it might look like to the normal person. And the actions that we are referring to are actions such as eating. The Baba Gurbakh Singh Ji used to eat just like we would. They would commit that action, but they would not be attached to it at all. Because Satsanga Ji, when we have food, when we start to eat, because of our attachment, if we like the taste of it, we will continue eating out of greed. That if we do not like that taste, then we will actually rather go hungry. But Baba Gurbakh Singh Ji would be able to eat for hours on end, not out of greed, not out of hunger. Because when they would start to eat, they would actually be remembering the name of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. They will be immersed within the name of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji 24/7. They were just physically doing that action of eating within this world, but they had no attachment to this. And because they could go on for hours eating, because they would be repeating the name of Waheguru Ji, the Sevadars, the other Gursikhs, what they used to do, they used to tie a hazuriya, a parna, loosely around their waist. And when they start to eat, their stomachs would expand. And once that hazuriya got a bit tight, they would say to Babaji that you have finished this action, you have completed this action. And Baba Gurbakh Singh Ji at once would stop, because they had no attachment to these actions, because they realized that this world was false. That this is the stage of Sattvapad. That those goddesses that reach this stage, they have no attachments to their actions, because they start to experience Waheguru Ji within this world. That the actions they do, they have no attachments to them. That they are actually experiencing the Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji constantly. And the Siddhs again ask Guru Sahib to actually describe the actions that take place within Gyan Khand. Hanji.
Kete pavan pani ve santar, kete kan mehes.
Kete means many. Many goddesses reach this stage of Gyan Khand, of knowledge. That they reach this stage of Sattvapad where they realize that this world is false. They have that knowledge that this world is false. Pavarna is referring to air. That as goddesses have the knowledge, they know about all the different types of air within this world, all the different types of gases within this world. Pani, all the different types of water, the different oceans within this world. That goddess obtains the knowledge of that. That how some water is blue, some is dark, some is cold, some is warm, some is sweet, some is salty. The goddessic is able to have knowledge of all of this. Vayasantar means fire. That they come to know about the different types of fire within this world. Because Gurbani tells us that one type of fire is when we are actually in our mother's womb. That is as if we are being dangled within a ball of fire. And the goddessic is able to have the knowledge of all of that, because they are the true Sevak of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji, because they have reached this stage of Sattvapad, of Gyan Khand. Now we can take these three elements, and these goddesses that reach this avastha, this spiritual state, they are able to obtain the virtues, the guna of these three different elements. Just like our air is within this atmosphere, but it is not attached to anything. In the same way that these godesiks that reach this level, they are within this world, they are within this society, but they are not attached to anything. They remain detached, that they are able to experience Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji within this world. That Pani, water, is known to be peaceful, calm, thanda. In the same way that a godesik does not allow anything to affect them within this world, because they realize that this world is false. They have that knowledge. And Vaya Santara is known to be very bright. Fire is meant to give off light. It is very bright. In the same way that a godesik starts to glow, becomes radiant through repeating the name of Vaheguru Ji and reaching this stage. That these godesiks that reach this stage are able to obtain the guna, the qualities, the virtues of these three different elements. Kete Gan Mahes. Gan means Krishna. Kete Gan Mahes. Mahes means Shivji. That Devi Devta that has the responsibility of destroying within this world. So it can mean all three of the Devi Devta. That the Siddhs believed in Brahma, Vishnu and Shivji. That they believe that these three are the form of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. But what Guru Sahib is showing us here, the teaching for us, is saying Gete means many. There's many different Krishnas that have been created within this world. Many different Shivjis, many different Devi Devta that have been created in this world. That the Siddhs, those followers of the Sanatic faith, believed in these Devi Devta to be the highest. But Guru Sahib is saying that there's many of these, showing us that they all get their power from Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. That there's many of these different Devi Devta, but they are all beneath Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. That they get their power from Waheguru Ji. That Waheguru Ji is the all-powerful being within this creation that has created many different Krishnas and many different Shivjis. Anji.
Kete parme karth kadiya hai roop rang ke ves.
Kete means many. Barme is referring to Brahma. That is known to be the creative power of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji, that the Siddhs believed in. They believed in this Devi Devta to be the all-powerful. But Guru Sahib is saying, Kete Brahme Karta Kadiya hai. Many different of these Brahme are Karta Kadiya hai, are formed, are shaped. Just like how we have a clay pot that is molded, it is shaped, it is formed. Guru Sahib is saying that there's many different Brahme that are shaped in this manner. Rupa Ranga Ke Ves, there's many different forms of Brahma that have been created, that these godesiks that reach this avastha, reach this spiritual state, are able to see. Now when I say see, we're not talking about our physical eyes. We are looking at the spiritual eyes. With our inner eyes we can take it to be. That these godesiks are able to see that there's many different Brahme, many different of these Devi Devta that have been created through their spiritual eyes. And the Hindu faith, the Sanatic faith, believe in Brahma to be the all-powerful being. That is the form of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji themselves. But throughout this Katha, throughout the teachings of Guru Sahib, they have shown us that these Devi Devta are not one with Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji, because they had Hankar, because they had ego. And there's a small tale of the ego, the Hankar of Brahma. That because of their reputation, because of the Sanatana faith believing in Brahma to be all-powerful, Brahma themselves started to think that they were of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. That they started to think that they would give up, organizer and deliverer of our lives. And when Brahma went to go visit an elderly sage, because of that Hankar, because of that ego, because of the reputation that they had, they believed that this elderly sage should actually bow down to them out of respect. And this elderly sage thought to themselves that I am the Syana out of the two of us. I am the elderly one out of the two of us. Therefore Brahma should bow down to me. and Satsangaji, there ended up being a standoff, that neither one of them showed any respect to each other. That Akal Purkh Waheguruji wanted to teach them a lesson. So Waheguruji created a whirlwind, where this Brahma and this elderly sage were taken into another realm. And Brahma is known to have 4 heads. And within this realm, this elderly sage and his Brahma with 4 heads saw another Brahma, because there's many different Brahma within this world. But this time this Brahma had 8 heads. There seemed to be the more heads, the more amount of power. And this Brahma also showed this hankar, this ego, that he said, I have 8 heads, that you have 4 heads. I actually have twice the amount of power as you. And because ego was shown again within this world, within that realm, Akal Purkh Waheguruji again created a whirlwind and took them into another realm, where they would again see another Brahma. But this time, this Brahma would have 16 heads. So it doubled again. And ego was again shown. This Brahma said that I have 16 heads, I have twice the amount of power as you, 3 times the amount of power as you. And because ego was shown, Akal Purkh Waheguruji took them into another realm again, but this time they would meet a Brahma with 32 heads, and ego again was shown. And Satsangaji, this would continue to happen, that ego would be shown and they'll be taken into another realm, until they reached a realm where there was a Brahma with actually 100,000 heads. But this Brahma didn't show any hankar, didn't show any ego. And he said that I am so lucky that all of these different Brahma have come to visit me, that this elderly sage has come to visit me. And when he said this, that first Brahma with 4 heads realized that they have been shown hankar, ego, throughout this whole time. And they realized that it is Akal Purkh Waheguruji that is all powerful, that they are the ones that create all of these many different Brahma. That is Brahma with 100,000s of heads. He said that there's even more realms, there's even more Brahma with even more heads than I have, even more power than I do, showing us that there's many different Brahma within this world that have been created, that Akal Purkh Waheguruji themselves are all powerful, because they are the ones that create these Devi Devte. There's many different Brahma that have been created within this world that the goddesses are able to see using their spiritual eyes. Hanji.
Ketya karma bhumi mer kete tu upades.
Ketya means numerous. Bhumi means this world, this earth. This earth that's been created that allows us to commit karam, commit our actions within this world. Mer kete. Mer is referring to a mountain, and in particular Samer Parbat. Samer Parbat is known to be the highest mountain range in that area of India. And that this is where the Siddhs would reside, because this is where their Guru, Gorakhnath, resided. That this is where they did their tapasya. This is where they did their penance. And Guru Sahib is saying to the Siddhs that you think that this mountain range, Samer Parbat, is the highest. But Guru Sahib is saying, Kete, Mer Kete, that is many different of these Samer Parbats that have been created. And if we take this Pankti in a deeper sense, we can see it to be that the actions that we do within this world, the karams that we do in this world, just like how we heard last week, should be of Nishkam actions. That where we have no desires, that we are just doing it out of love for Akal Purkh Waheguruji. And by committing those actions, we become like that Mer, we become like that mountain, because we are not able to be swayed by the Panjajor of Kam, Kro, Lo, Mohankar, of lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego. That we cannot be swayed by the ways of society. Kete tu upades. Tu is referring to Dhruv Bhagat, who was a Bhagat from Satyajug, from the first age that there was. And Dhruv Bhagat, the Sakhi, goes that they were the son of a king. And one day they would sit in their father's lap. but their stepmother would actually come and drag them out of the lap of their father. And the father would remain silent, they wouldn't even say a word. And when Dhruv Bhagat went back to their mother, they asked that, mother, are you a queen or are you a maid? Their father doesn't even come to this side of the palace. They don't even spend any time with us. And Dhruv Bhagat's mother said that I was born a queen because I've married a king. But because I haven't repeated the name of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji, I am just a maid. And Dhruv Bhagat asked that, what can I do so that father would love us, that would spend time with us? And with this desire, they wanted to become a king so that their father would accept them. And so they would start to go into the jungles where they would meet the son of Brahma, Narad Muni, who would say to them to repeat the name of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. That when they first started repeating the name, they were doing it for the desires, so they could get that love from their father, so they could become a king. And after a couple days, when the king was made aware that their son is in the jungles, they said to bring him back, that he can receive half of my kingdom if he comes back. And when Dhruv Bhagat found out about this, they said that, well, I've got this through simply repeating the name of Waheguru Ji just for a couple days. That imagine what I will receive if I continue repeating the name of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. So originally Dhruv Bhagat was repeating the name out of those materialistic desires, but then they just wanted the love of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. And but for that reason, they were actually blessed to become one with Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. Even in Dhyan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj's Bani, there comes a pankti, Ram Japyo Ji, Ram Japo Ji, Aise Aise, Dhruv Prahlad, Japyo Har Jaise. That Dhyan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj is telling us to repeat the name of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji, just like how Bhagat Dhruv had done, how Bhagat Prahlad Ji had done, with that innocence, out of sheer love for Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. That's how we should repeat the name of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. And Guru Sahib here is saying there is many different Dhruv Bhagats, many different Bhagats that are able to be, that are in this world, that repeat the name of Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji and actually become one with Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. These Goddesses are able to see all of this. Hanji.
Kehte Ind Chand Sur kehte, kehte Mandal Des.
Dhyan Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji Maharaj is saying, Kehte Ind. Kehte means many. Ind means Indra Devata. That is seen to be, is known to be the king of the Devi Devte. And Guru Sahib is saying that there's many of these Indras. There is many Chands, there's many moons, not just the one within this world, but all the realms. Sur means Suraj, is referring to the sun, that the goddess is able to experience, is able to be aware of all of the different moons, all of the different suns that are within this world. Not just in this world that we see, but all of creation, all the different realms. By using their spiritual eyes, these goddesses are able to experience this. Those that reach this level of Gyan Khand, that reach this level of Sato Apata. Kehte Mandala Des. Mandala is referring to this creation, the larger creation, and Des is referring to the different countries within this world. That the goddess is able to experience all of this creation by using those inner eyes. Because they are experiencing Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji whilst in this world, they are being blessed to be able to experience this creation, because they have that Gyan, they have that knowledge of this world now. That there's not a corner of this world that they cannot experience. Hanji.
Kehte Siddha Buddha Nath kehte, kehte Devi Ves.
And Guru Sahib is saying that there's many Siddhs within this world. Just like those Siddhs that Guru Sahib is having this discourse with. Guru Sahib is saying that there's many different Siddhs. And it can also be taken to be those that have done Siddh, that have received the Riddhya Siddhiyan. And there's known to be 18 Siddhiyan, 18 different occult powers. And Guru Sahib is saying that those Godasiks that reach this stage of Gyan Kand, of Satu Apad, that they go above and beyond these occult powers, that these Siddhiyan, they actually start to serve the Godasik instead, because they have reached this stage. Buddha means Buddha. The Buddha, there's many different types of Buddha within this world. Nath is referring to Gorakhnath, that is the King Siddh. The Guru Sahib is saying that there's many of these Gorakhnaths that are within this creation. And if we take this Pankti deeper, those that have done Siddh, they obtain Buddha, they obtain that Gyan, that knowledge of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji, and they become Nath, they become one with that true King in Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. Kete Devi Ves. Devi is referring to the feminine Devi Devte, the wives of the Devi Devte. The Guru Sahib is saying that there's many of these female Devi Devte that have been created, and the Godasik is able to have that knowledge of this, the understanding of all of this, and is able to see and experience this through those spiritual eyes that we have spoken about. Hanji.
Kete Dev Danav Mun Kete Kete Rutana Samunda.
Kete means many. Dev is referring to the Devi Devte of Vishnu, Brahma, Shivji. That is many of these that have been created. Danav is referring to the demons, many different demons that have been created within this world. Kete Deva Danav Mun Kete. Mun is referring to the Monis, those that remain silent in the hopes to become one with Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. Guru Sahib is saying that there is many within this creation, there's many that have been created by Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji. That the Godasik goes above and beyond all of these, above and beyond these Devi Devte, because above and beyond these Monis, because they are all searching for this Amrit. They are all searching for Khandidi Bahul. Just like how we hear within Anand Sahib every single day. Sora Naram Mona Jana Sir, Sora Naram Mona Jana Amrit Khoj De, so Amrit Gurte Paya. Forgive me for my mistakes. That Sur means the Devi Devte. Mon is referring to those Monis. Amrit Khoj De, they are looking for Amrit, they are in search for that nectar that can only be obtained through the true Guru. That these Devi Devte, these Monis, they are not one with Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji because they are still looking for this nectar. They are looking for Amrit itself. That those Godasiks that reach this stage of Gyan Kand, they obtain the knowledge of all of these different Devi Devte, all of these different Monis, these different demons that are within this world, and they go above and beyond them. Kete Ratan Samund. Samunda is referring to the oceans. So the Godasik obtains all of the knowledge of all of the different oceans that are within this world that Vaheguru Ji has placed their Ratans within. Ratans mean their jewels. Because the Godasik is able to experience all of this creation, they are able to experience, they are able to see all of these different oceans. The jewels that Vaheguru Ji has placed within these oceans, they can experience all of this simply by using their inner eyes. Hanji.
Ketya Khani, Ketya Bani, Kete Paat Nandarenda.
Ketya means numerous. Khani is referring to the 4 ways in which we can come into this creation. That is known to be Andaj, Jeraj, Setaj, and Utbaj. The Andaj, we come through an egg. Some animals are born through an egg. Then we have Jeraj, that how we come through the womb. We are born through our mother's womb. Setaj is coming through pasina, coming through sweat, coming through chemicals. And Utbaj is how plants come, how they are planted and they grow. So vegetation in itself. Within this creation, within this world, these are the 4 ways in which we can come into creation. That a Godasik is able to obtain knowledge of all of these. That in other creations there's other ways of coming into the world. And the Gursikh also obtains knowledge of that also. Ketya Bani. Bani means languages. Many different languages that are spoken within these worlds. The Gursikh has knowledge of all of these. And we can take a Bani to be the deeper art, the deeper meaning, to be the different ways to communicate with our God, Guru Vaheguru. And there's known to be 4 different Baniya that we can use, 4 different methods that we can use to communicate with Vaheguru. The first one being Bekri Bani, that we use our mouth, we use our speech to repeat the name of Akala Guru Vaheguru. And through repeating the name of Vaheguru, we'll be blessed to be able to have Madhama Bani, where it then goes, the Bani starts to get recited from our kant, from our throat. Then we have Basanti Bani, where it then comes from our hirda, from our hearts. And then we have Bara Bani, that is coming from our tuni, from our nabi, coming from our belly button. That these are the 4 ways in which we can be blessed to communicate with our God, Vaheguru. That through repeating the name with this tongue, with our mouths, with this speech, it will progress into our kant, into our throat, to our heart, and then to our nabi. And we can all experience this. We can go through these different stages of repeating the name of our God, Vaheguru. Kete, Path and Lind is referring to the different kings, the different kingdoms that they have, the different dynasties that they have that are in this world. Guru Sahib is saying that there's many different kings, different Raja, different dynasties within this world. And the Guru Sikh obtains knowledge of all of these. Hanji.
Ketya Surti Sevak Kete Nanak Ant Na Ant.
Surti here means the knowledge. Sevak means the Sevak, the Sevadar. Those that have reached this level of Gyan Khand. Those that have reached this level of Satu Apat. They obtain that knowledge of how this world is false. And because they have obtained that knowledge, they are able to experience Akal Purukh Vaheguru within this creation, through every single part of this creation. Nanaka Anta Na Anta. And Dam Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji Maharaj is saying to us that there is no anta, there is no end to that description of that Gursikh that reaches this level of Gyan Khand, of reaching this level of Satu Apat. That the second ant can mean that if somebody like myself tries to describe the end, tries to describe all the qualities of that Gursikh that has reached this level, then they will reach their end before they reach the end of that description. Meaning that that person's life will come to an end before they can even come close to describing the end of those Gursikhs that have reached this stage of Satu Apat, who is the true, those that are the true Sevadar, the true Sevak of Akal Purukh Vaheguru. That last week Guru Sahib taught us about the Satsangi, about that person that comes into the Sad Sangat. And this week Guru Sahib has blessed us to show us the level, the spiritual state of Gyan Khand, of where we obtain this knowledge that how this world is false, that we do not blindly follow society because we can become aware within this world, because we become awake within this world. That this is that spiritual state of Satu Apat, the true Sevak of Akal Purukh Vaheguru. How once we come to this stage, once we get to this stage, we will be able to experience this whole creation by using our inner eyes, by using our spiritual eyes. That we will no longer be attached to our actions within this world, just like how Baba Gurbaksh Singh Ji was. How they had no attachment to their actions, to the karams that they were committing within this world. The next week Guru Sahib will be teaching us about Asank Sakat, where the remaining 2 jod of ego and pride, Kaam Kro Lomo Hankar, sorry, attachment and ego, that we have previously learned about how Kaam, Krodh and Lobh are lost. Have these decreased within our minds. And Guru Sahib next week will teach us that at the stage of a Sanksakad, we start to lose our attachment and we start to lose our hankar, our ego. Whilst doing the Vichara this week, I have made many mistakes. Please forgive me for all the mistakes. If I have offended anybody before I have said, please know that it wasn't my intentions to do so. That I do Ardas Benti in a Chandan Sharan of Tan Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj and you the Sadh Sangat, that I am able to obtain that Brahm Gyan, to be blessed with that Brahm Gyan, that divine knowledge of Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji, that we can all start to experience Akal Purkh Vaheguru Ji within every single part of this creation. So please forgive me for all of my mistakes. Lekhe kete na shutiye khin khin pulan har baksan har baksale nanak par utar.
Ketya khani, ketya bani, kete paat narind, ketya surti sevak kete, nanak ant na ant.
Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ। ਰਾਮਕਲੀ ਮਹੱਲਾ ਤੀਜਾ। ਆਨੰਦ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦਿ।